NFL free agency is only 3 weeks away, and the Ravens have a ton of decisions to make. I wanted to go through all of those tough decisions, make predictions on a tier list, who I think is going to get re-signed or who we're going to let walk, who might get extended, who's going to get released. The Ravens have a dilemma, man. There's some really tough decisions ahead. What do we do with Ronnie Stanley, Patrick McCary, Mark Andrews? I mean, these are all going to be answered in the next month. But let's get started. We'll jump into a tier list that I made. So I made re-sign category, extend, let walk, and release category. And then I got all the guys down here, all the 2025 free agents, and then some possible release and extension candidates as well. So we'll get into it in no particular order. First up, Tre'Davious White. This one's an interesting one. He is 30, but played some solid minutes for us. I don't think he's going to command much of a contract at all, probably a minimum. I think they're going to let him walk, even though I wouldn't be surprised if they re-sign him for depth. I do like what he brought, but I think they're going to let him walk due to age. I just don't think that he's going to get better, you know, a cornerback past 30, especially an outside corner. I don't think he's going to improve, but I wouldn't be shocked if they re-signed him to a cheap deal. I'm gonna put him in the let walk for now. Tylan Wallace, I think he re-signs. I think he's a good depth receiver. He's versatile. I know he didn't really thrive at punt returner, but he's able to do it. He's able to play special teams. He's came up for us in huge moments, and I don't think he's going to command a lot of money. And we only have Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman, and Tez Walker under contract, so I think that Tylan Wallace is a re-sign here. Next up, Marcus Williams. This one's an obvious. They redid his contract so that he could have void years and basically become an unrestricted free agent this year. So he's definitely gone. Malik Harrison. I think they re-signed Malik Harrison. I think we need the linebacker depth. He stepped up, not in pass coverage, but in run defense and just playing his assignment. Now, I do think Trenton Simpson's role increases, so I'm not saying Malik Harrison's going to have a huge role, but it's kind of like Tylan Wallace, too. He's a versatile player, brings a lot of value on special teams. I don't think he commands a huge contract. I think we re-sign Malik. Deontay Johnson is another obvious one. That's definitely a let walk. We did reclaim him. If you're wondering why he's even on this list, we reclaimed him from the Houston Texans after he was released so that we could hopefully get a comp pick the following year. So we're rooting for Deontay Johnson to get as big of a contract as possible with another team, but it definitely won't be us. Brent Urban, man, love Brent Urban. He did say he wants to run it back. I wouldn't be surprised if we signed him, but I don't really see why unless it's just for locker room, really. I gotta let him walk, man. I don't even think it's worth giving him a $1.5 or $2 million deal. I just don't think he's playing enough. Older player now. He's 34. His snaps have been consistently declining. Love Brent Urban, though. Great energy guy. Love him and Michael Pierce on the sideline and all those wireds. But I'm gonna let Brent Urban walk. Marlon Humphrey is an extension candidate. So I'm going to put him under extend. I think we do get an extension done. He's heading into his final year. He's not an unrestricted free agent yet, but I think we get an extension done. I think he can thrive in this slot role for a few more years, and he's kind of one of those like Raven for life guys, man. I really think that an extension is going to get done here. So I'll put him there. Josh Johnson, definitely a let walk. Our backup quarterback situation is not great, and we've never really had a great backup quarterback. I mean, if Lamar goes down at any point, we were always screwed. We saw that with Tyler Huntley, and we like Tyler Huntley, but like we just know you're not going to the Super Bowl. You know, it's not a Nick Foles type situation. Not saying he's incredible, but that's a backup quarterback that came in and won a Super Bowl, and we've never really had a backup quarterback like that, and it would take quite a bit of an investment if we did want to do that. So I don't know. I don't know what direction we're headed with backup quarterback right now. I think it's just Devin Leary, but I don't think we bring Josh Johnson back. Josh Jones, I'd re-sign Josh Jones. I think we need cheap O-line depth, and he provides versatility as well. He can play tackle, can play guard, has played well at guard in the past. I think he can provide value for us. I don't think he's going to command much money. He's only 28 years old, so it's not like he's super old. I would re-sign Josh Jones. Next up, Pat Ricard. This is an obvious re-sign for me. There's no way we can let him go. I don't think we will. You know, even if he does get a decent offer somewhere, I mean, we know his value more than most teams. Most teams wouldn't be able to use Pat Ricard the way that he should be used. So I don't think he's going to be super cheap for his role, but I think it's worth it, man. Pat Ricard, he's an extra O-lineman. He's a fullback. He's, you know, can catch the ball too. Like, he's athletic. I mean, we need to re-sign Pat Ricard. Next up is Nelson Aguilar. I am going to let him walk. He definitely provided us some great years. Thought last year, 2 years ago, was probably his best, but he's 32 years old. He's got a void year here to make him an unrestricted free agent. I think that Nelson Aguilar is on his way out. Ben Cleveland, it's time, man. It's time to move on. And that might not be his fault completely. I don't know what's exactly going on behind the scenes, but this guy has really never got a true shot. He's been in Harbaugh's doghouse, so let's just let him go somewhere else. I don't think Ben Cleveland's going to really pan out here at this point, so I definitely think that he is gone. Brandon Stevens, this one's a debate in the fan base. You know, I guess a lot of people want him gone, me included, so I am going to let him walk as well. Now, if he was dirt cheap, I wouldn't mind having him for depth. You know, I know he got picked on, but he's not awful. Like, he's probably the best corner on this list outside of Marlon Humphrey. It's not like Brandon Stevens is a terrible, terrible football player, but pushed into an outside starting role or even like a cornerback 2 role, he's going to get picked on. You know, I think he's best served in like a cornerback 3 or 4 role, you know, the 3rd or 4th outside corner backup. And if we like absolutely needed him, he could provide some good minutes. So I'm not hating on Brandon Stevens. I mean, we saw him play last year in a premier role for us, and he just took a drop this year and got really picked on. So I don't think he's an awful football player, and I wanted to get that across. But I do think he commands just enough money that it's not going to work here. Plus, the fans are on him, man. He had a bad year this year, so I think we're going to let Brandon Stevens walk. Christian Welch, this is not a big decision here, but I'm going to let him walk as well. He just hasn't played much and provided a lot of minutes. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think he's going to be expensive at all if they keep him around for a little bit, but I don't think he has a big role in this team long term. Next up is Trayvon Mullen. I think we let him walk too. He's never really played crucial minutes. He's had a ton of injuries. I know he's Lamar's cousin, and we've kept him around for a few years now, but he's just never really gotten the game too much and has struggled. So I think we just move on and let him walk. Darius Washington is a restricted free agent. So even if another team does offer him a contract, we can match it. So therefore, I just do not see him going anywhere. I think I think we'll get a deal done, but regardless, even if he tests free agency, we do have his rights and the ability to match anything, so Darius is definitely going to re-sign here. The big decision, Ronnie Stanley. I would love to re-sign him. I think that's the dream scenario, but I do think we let him walk. I think it's too much money. I love Ronnie. It's too much money for the risk. You know, he's 31 and has had a ton of recent injury years. And I know he balled out last year. Amazing comeback. Proud of him. Thankful for him. I love Ronnie. I love the years that he's put in here. But you remember the pain of last time we signed him to a big deal, and then literally like a month later, this dude's out. And then year by year, he's out and out and out. And I just think paying him $20 million a year when we don't have any cap room at all right now is so risky. And I think, you know, as unpopular as it may sound, I think Roger Rosengarten is going to be our left tackle. And I think the hole is actually at right tackle and left guard right now. Maybe even right guard too. It depends, what kind of leap Falele takes. But I think our hole's at right tackle. I think we have a left tackle, and it's Roger Rosengarten. So I'm gonna let Ronnie walk. I wouldn't be shocked if we re-sign him. I wouldn't hate it. I just think it's very, very risky. And I think we can find another right tackle. So I'm gonna let Ronnie walk and save a boatload of money. Justin Tucker's up next, and I only have him on this list because you know what's going on right now, man. He's up to 16 allegations from 8 different massage therapists, or 8 different spas, 16 different women. I don't see a way he sticks on this team. I just think it's a ticking time bomb. I'm surprised the Ravens haven't even made a statement yet, but Justin Tucker's getting released. The writing's just on the wall. There's just no way with all this going on that he's going to be rolling out there as the kicker and coming off the year last year. He killed us in half our losses. Half our losses we would have won if he would have made field goals. So we kind of experienced last year without a great kicker. He wasn't a great kicker last year. So whoever we end up going with this year, whether we draft a guy or sign an undrafted kicker like Tucker was. We didn't draft Tucker. We signed him as an undrafted kicker. So I trust that we'll get someone decent in here. Are they going to be prime Justin Tucker? No, man, nobody is. But we kind of felt what it's like to have an inconsistent kicker last year, and we're probably going to have to feel that again, to be honest with you. So I think Tucker's getting released, man. Next up, Lamar Jackson. Now, he's under contract for a few more years, but I think we extend him. I think instead of just restructuring his current deal, we add a year or two onto it and extend him. Let's be real. Lamar's not going anywhere. I don't want Lamar to go anywhere. And he might not get extended. We could just restructure it. But I think we might extend him. I think he's going to be here for as long as possible. And extending him will lower some of his cap hits this year and next year and things like that. So I think it'd be smart to extend Lamar Jackson. Mark Andrews is a big decision. He's not a free agent right now. We could release him. We could trade him. I don't know what his value is. He's a free agent next year, and I have him on this list because I also think we extend him, and I think he takes a team-friendly deal. I don't think that's going to be super cheap, but I think he gets extended, and I don't think it's that long-term. I think it's like another year, and it just lowers the cap hit this season. So I think we still probably will keep Likely here as well. I don't think we're moving on from all of them. I think we keep this tight end room intact for, 2 more years. I don't think it's long-term. I don't think we give Mark some, 4-year extension or anything like that. I think it might just be like a year. And just to lower this cap hit, and maybe that year is not even guaranteed, so you can kind of get out of it, something like that. But I do think we extend him instead of trading him or releasing him, and I don't see him playing on that $17 million cap hit this season. Like I said, we have no money, and it's hard to restructure a guy when he's only got this year. So that's why I kind of have Marlon Humphrey and Mark Andrews on the extension list. But I don't think it's a super long-term extension, but, the whole organization was saying how much Mark Andrews is going to be in their long-term plans, and I do believe that he's not only here for this year, and I don't think we trade him either. So I think Mark Andrews is going to get extended. Derrick Henry's next up. That's another extension. I think that's pretty obvious. That's definitely coming. He's got like a $10 million cap hit this year. But I think we do what we're going to do with Mark Andrews. We're going to extend him a year or two, keep him here for another 2 to 3 years, and that final year or two is not really guaranteed. So if he is falling off or having a bunch of injuries, the Ravens can kind of get out of it with, not eating a ton of dead money. But we also need to clear some cap, and I don't think Derrick Henry's going anywhere. And so I think we extend him a year or two as well. Arthur Millette is not a free agent either, but I think he gets released. I just think with all his injuries this season, his age, I just don't think that Arthur Millette's role is going to be the same, and I think we release Arthur Millette. Next up is Chris Board. This one's tough. I wouldn't be shocked if we re-signed him, but I'm gonna let Chris Board walk. I think with re-signing Malik Harrison, I think Trenton Simpson's going to have a much bigger role than he did this year, maybe closer to what he did at the start of this year. And Chris Board is 30 now. Like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if we did re-sign him to a cheap deal, but I'm going to let him walk. Kyle Hamilton, he's not a free agent either, and we probably will pick up his team option next year, so he's not going to be a free agent next year either, but I think he gets extended as well. And now it might not happen this offseason. It could be next offseason, but Kyle Hamilton's not going anywhere. Let's be real. So I got him on the extension list, and I might as well grab the other guy on here too that fits into the same exact category. They were in the same draft class, and that is Tyler Linderbaum. He's also going to get extended. I think these two are long-term Ravens, and it might not come this year, but if they want to free up a little money and kind of plan long-term for the cap, it'd be smart to get it done. I think you'd save money too. You know, every year the contracts are going up with the salary cap. So if you can get the extensions done this offseason, then you're just going to save money in the future. So I'm not sure if it'll happen this offseason, but it should. And they're both eligible for extensions now. So I think they will get done, and I got them on the extend list. Deontay Hardy is a let walk. I wouldn't be shocked if they gave him another chance, but it's, you know, if he was here years prior and playing a good role and healthy and didn't have all the injuries like he did last year, I think we would keep him, you know, but the fact that we just signed him last year and then that's what we got, ton of injuries, couldn't really stay on the field, never really flashed when he was on the field, I think we just let him walk. Patrick McCary, this one is a very interesting decision. I'd like to re-sign him to be in the sixth man role, and I think we could afford it if we let Ronnie walk. But I don't want him to be our starting left guard. And I think he may want to try and start somewhere. And I think the league might value him due to his versatility as a valuable piece that could command just a little too much. And I think we're going to really retool this offensive line. I hope we do at least. I'm going to let Patrick McCary walk as well. And I know that's bold, letting Ronnie Stanley and McCary walk. But I think we're going to upgrade this offensive line. I don't think we want McCary at left guard. I do want McCary, you know, as a depth piece, like a Josh Jones. I think that's a perfect role. McCary played that role his whole career besides last year and thrived in it. So if we can get him on that type of contract and he's okay with playing that type of role, then I'd love to re-sign him. But I'm just going to go with my gut, and I think we let him walk. I think we're getting a new left guard, or Voorhees takes a step up. But either way, we're going to add to the guards, and I think we're definitely going to get a new right tackle. And I think McCary might get a starting job somewhere. Travis Jones is not a free agent either, but he is next year. And I was looking ahead at the 2026 draft or free agents, and I just to kind of get a full picture, and I saw Travis Jones, and I was like, we need to lock this guy up. So I got him in the extension category as well. Now, all these guys might not get extended. You know, Kyle Hamilton and Linderbaum could be next year. Travis Jones could be next year. But these are extension candidates, you know, and I want to keep these guys around. I think Mark Andrews may be the only one that might not stay here, but everyone else I think needs to be here for a few more years at least. And Travis Jones, we need to lock him up. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. He's a young ascending player, and I know he struggled with an ankle injury, but he battled through it and still played pretty well, man. I think Travis Jones has an amazing future and is crucial to our defensive line. So I got him getting an extension. And then the last guy on here is Steven Sims. I think they let him walk. I know we need some wide receiver depth. I like his versatility as well, but I don't think that he has a big role here. I wouldn't be surprised if they do re-sign him. I like him. I liked what I saw, but I think we at least let him test free agency and get the wide receiver depth through the draft and possibly deeper in free agency. I just think that he plays kind of a Zay Flowers type role, which is good to have depth at, but we might need a guy like that on the practice squad. I don't know if we need an active guy every single week, and I don't think he's going to be our punt returner. I think we're going to have someone else at returner. So I wouldn't be surprised if we did re-sign him. This is another one that could be in the re-sign, but I'm going to let him walk. So this is my final list of Ravens this offseason and my guesses and predictions on how this kind of plays out. We're letting a lot of guys go, but I don't think we're losing a ton. We are losing a little bit on the offensive line with Patrick McCary and Ronnie Stanley, no doubt. But I think this whole offseason is a mission to stack up the offensive line. So, all focus will be there. I know we're losing 2 guys, but McCary, in my mind, is not really a starter. Ronnie's a big loss, but like I said, I think Roger moves to left tackle. So we really only have a right tackle hole right now. This is how I see it going. There are a couple that could be interchanged, I think, but overall, this is my prediction list. We'll go revisit it in a few months to see how off it was. But let me know what you guys are thinking. What would you change? Who would you keep or let go? Or what moves would you make this offseason? Now, this is only with Ravens players. Obviously, we're going to add a lot of free agent depth and a lot of guys through the draft and things like that. I think there's still a ton of moves to be made this offseason, but these are our homegrown guys, the guys that were on our roster last year or previous years, and I just wanted to go through and make my kind of official predictions and kind of go through how I see this offseason playing out, because free agency is only 3 weeks away, man. This is coming up fast. NFL is really a year-long thing. It feels like the offseason's so long. And that's kind of why I made that "it doesn't matter" video last week, because everyone was kind of talking about how nothing matters until we get back to the playoffs next year and we got to go to a Super Bowl. And I do agree at the end of the day, like from a legacy standpoint, yeah, we got to go win a Super Bowl. But to disregard the whole journey kind of sucks, right? It takes the fun out of it. I want to get excited about free agency starting in 3 weeks. I want to be pumped for the draft in April. I want to be excited for, mini camp and training camp and the preseason and the regular season. Like, all of that is still a really fun thing to go through and watch and just enjoy the journey week by week until we get back to the playoffs and go for another Super Bowl. I definitely want a Super Bowl too, no doubt. But I don't want to just say, like, nothing matters along the way until the Super Bowl. That's just not how I want to operate. I want to get excited about all these things, man. So free agency being 3 weeks away feels like it's already kind of flying up. I'm like, whoa, we're really about to, like, know whether we bring Ronnie back or not. Because the start of free agency, I mean, Ronnie's a top 5 free agent. He's going to command $20 million a year. Like, he's probably going to get signed first week. So that's a big ticket free agent item. So you're going to get a lot of these answers very soon. So I wanted to put this out and kind of kick off this offseason. Let me know what you guys are thinking about everything. I appreciate you, as always, for tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll let the greatest linebacker in the history of the game take us out.
Ravens Flock. The Flock Rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. The Flock Rundown. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.